Okay, hi, I'm Ashima. I am the teacher, and all the teaching and correction and learning activity is going to be done by me. Today, I'm going to give you an insight as to what exactly goes down in the class. Well, the class caters to three parts in the language of English. You have comprehensions, grammar, and creative writing. Now, comprehension caters to fiction and non-fiction passages both, wherein we cover different strategies of how you go about answering. You have direct answer, which is normally in the passage, and we just have to take it down. You have indirect answers where your answers could just be a word or a phrase and you have to go about framing it. You have opinionated answers where you have to read this story or text, understand and give an answer in your own words. Also, changing the speech, we do not use dialogues in an answer. So it's really important to convert a dialogue into a regular sentence when you're doing comprehensions, unless you ask to quote from the passage. And of course, my favorite is application of vocabulary. If while answering the child is familiar with any new word or term that we have learned in class, they have the freedom to apply it. This helps them to stimulate their thought process and understand an application of words everywhere, not just in creative writing. So now if I show you a sample, this is a comprehension. So all answers are discussed in class, and as you can see that the kids, they'll end up making different markings, like with the help of brackets to show where the answers are. We have a term called FR, which means you need to frame an answer. This would be the answer, but I'll have to make alterations to it. So now when we are doing comprehensions, the children participate in that. We discuss each and every answer that we're solving in class, so that a child, if is learning something wrong, not understanding a particular thing, will understand how to go about with a technique for a particular question. Like over here, question 1 was direct. How did the jackal turn blue? So if you observe, the child has marked an answer directly, that a jackal, while prowling through the outskirts of a town, accidentally fell into a vat which was full of blue dye. He turned completely blue. There was a full stop here. The child added so because that seemed appropriate to convert this entirely into a proper answer. Next, in the second question, it was what made him think of a plan. Now in this question, the child knew a better vocabulary for an existing word, so he had the freedom to apply it. Like here it is, he was afraid that the animals of the jungle would laugh at him. He, instead of writing afraid, has used the word petrified. So the kids are given the freedom to apply various new things learned to just enhance their knowledge. Who did the jackal say he was? Now this is a dialogue. So that is why it's been written FR, because all the I and all the present tense, it has to be changed to the past tense. So this technique is taught to them, and then see that's how they go about applying. So hence discussing an answer is extremely significant, so that the kids understand how individually they can go about with applying them in any other question that bears similar resemblance to this. Now even this one, what happened when the plan was carried out? If you can see, there are cancellations here. When this story was given, the parts that is relevant with our question, to pick that part, to add extra part, to remove things that are not needed, everything goes down when we are discussing it. And that's the way your comprehension skills become sharper. Giving someone 10 passages to practice without teaching them the technique is not going to help a child. If the child can only practice once the child knows what he or she needs to understand and change in order to grow in a comprehension. Going further, grammar is significant because English is not our mother tongue. There are a lot of little elements that we need to know in grammar so that we can incorporate it in our creative writing. For example, let me pick any random topic. Okay, let's say if I pick a preposition. If I'm learning prepositions in my regular class framework, then we apply it in different ways. I can give it to you as a dialogue. I can give it to you in a form of a letter. I can give it to you in a form of a story. My point is, if you know how to apply it only in a sentence, then if there are multiple sentences, in a dialogue, letter, and story, it should not confuse you. You should be able to apply it even there. Learning a topic and applying it universally is important. Just only if it asked in a grammar part and getting the right answer is not enough. So, whatever we do in grammar, even conjunctions, we tend to like, if I know a conjunction because, I'm only constantly going to keep using it. No. There are other conjunctions that you learn. So now play with them. This way, you learn different kinds of sentence framing structures as well. Whatever grammar worksheets they solve in the class, they do it on their own. There is no help whatsoever from me because after the explanation, I like knowing where the child is standing and what the child is doing. If they make a mistake, it's easier for me to correct. But leaving something blank and not attempting them is something I don't encourage because it's okay to make a mistake and learn, but leaving something will not enable you to learn or understand where you're going wrong. So please don't panic sometimes if there are too many mistakes in a particular worksheet. It's for their good. The last and the most significant part of this class is creative writing. Creative writing involves anything a child has to think and write. We work with various elements, such as vocabulary, where you learn new words for a basic word. You also have styles of writing where we learn figurative elements in a particular writing setup. Like, for example, say a simile. Instead of saying the drink is cold, I can say the drink is as cold as ice. So that's a simile where I'm comparing one thing to the other. Then we also learn metaphors. Metaphors is when I'm directly comparing something. For example, instead of saying the sun is shining, I'll say the sun is gleaming like a gold coin in the sky. And that's a simile. But if I want to make it a metaphor, I will say the sun is a colossal gold coin in the sky. So, okay, let's omit colossal for the time being if it's interfering with our understanding. I'll say the sun is a gold coin in the sky. Here I'm comparing the sun directly to a gold coin without using the words like or as. That's metaphor. And where there is like, it's a simile. The kids are then given a practice where I'll give you something like this. Very basic, easy. So then they will rewrite the same sentence by changing it as to what they want. Like the sun is gleaming like a gold coin. Of course, they don't have to stick to gold coin. They can go ahead and compare it to a gemstone or the headlight of a car, whatever we are picking up in class. Again, if you don't want to use a simile, then you can even stop over here. The sun is gleaming. The point is when the techniques are taught, the child becomes the master to decide, okay, I'm not filling it with only similes. I'll balance it. Okay, here I'm using vocabulary, here I use a simile, here I use a metaphor. The point is that when we are learning, at the end of learning a particular concept, the application is left to the child, whatever he or she is comfortable doing. But I do not permit them to get too comfortable with only one thing. Like you can't keep using only similes in a particular write-up. Not happening. You can't keep only using, metaphors in a particular write-up. Also, when we do fiction or non-fiction, in a formal write-up, you cannot use idioms and similes. So their vocabulary is needed to be done heavily. Just give me a minute. Alright, sorry, somebody came in late, so we took a while getting back to where we were. Thank you. Okay, so this way we go about with the different aspects, that when you're supposed to use what in what form of writing. Also, of course, you have idioms, like for example, it is raining heavily can be written as it is raining cats and dogs. Now, application. So, application is what I'm talking about. You use a vocabulary, you use a simile, you use an idiom. At the end of the day, it's in the child's hand. This is a simple scenario. Rohan is happy because he scored good marks. It could be converted into just using vocabulary. Rohan is elated as he scored glorious marks. Or Rohan is as elated as a lark as he scored splendid marks. Or an idiom wherein you could say Rohan is on cloud nine as he passed with his exams with flying colors. So what I mean to say is, at the end of the day, the child decides what he or she would want to use. But that's where I'll step in so that the child does not get comfortable with only sticking to one technique. Now, in the class, we use a lot of videos and cartoons to learn a particular topic. So, how does this application come? See, the first thing, whatever they write in class, I help them to write. And like for example, say this is an expedition. We discussed an idea pertaining to these kids going out for an expedition, and we also use a lot of collective nouns. Collective nouns will help us to, enhance our write-up if we are doing a fable writing, if we are writing about an explanatory or a narrative text about going somewhere which involves animals. So we discuss this idea based on a particular clip that they are shown. And then when we are writing, of course, I make them write this because I show them different ideas, different words, different styles. And when they take this down in the book, after that, they are taught in the class how to make a dictionary. Now, how we go about making a dictionary is basically that the bracket word comes first and the new word comes second. So you have short trip, you have expedition. You have a collective noun for stars, you have galaxy. Okay, you have illuminating, that's bright and shiny. So that's what the child does. We pick up each thing. Short trip, expedition. Collective noun for stars, galaxy. Bright or shiny, illuminating. Disappeared, vanished. Huge, colossal, gigantic, humongous. Now, how does this go ahead? First, they're given simple sentences, wherein a basic sentence is given which is completely not related to that expedition. Now, here I'm just describing how water is looking. The water which was clear similarly in the huge sea shone as the happy and bright sun's rays fell on it. Here, again, a very different usage. Samuel woke up early hearing the sweet chirps of a group of birds. He was happy and excited to meet the new group of teachers who were visiting his school. He was school. Now, these sentences, A, they show them that what you have written, how you can mix and match the words in any creative writing. It does not necessarily, if we wrote about a short trip, that means all the vocabulary has to be used only when we are writing about a short trip. So they first learn by using better words, like here he's used as clear as crystal, that's your simile. Huge is colossal, the spelling is wrong, so he's given correction for the same at the end of the write-up. For happy, he's used elated. So here, this technique helps the child to get comfortable with the new words and assignments. So also when they're given sentences to write, okay, the trick is that we encourage the child that, okay, if you're given this homework on a Thursday to maybe a Saturday, you read this one topic continuously and then sit to do the homework so that you can replace the words naturally. If at any given point of time you forget a meaning of a word, it's fine. Go back to reading, but do not copy. The sentences then move to bigger pictures. Like, look, here there are two fables we did, pertaining to animals. There are two different ways we use it in a story. The same, I'm talking from that same expedition writer. We taught them another technique of using a dialogue and using the same vocabulary over here. And see, the child has gone about changing the words. Roar, the incessant roar of the livid pride of lions left the animals terrified. The animals of the enormous forest called wilderness were not elated as they had a gigantic problem. So what I mean to say is that how they are applying that kind of vocabulary in a fable. and how we are using things to start, how we are applying the collective nouns in a different picture altogether. This comes to them when you show it to them, when you expose that, okay, these are the ways in which you can mix and match. They understand, and that's how they get ideas to grow. So here this was starting with a dialogue. In this case, it's starting with a setup. I'm talking about the forest, I'm talking about the, how the forest is appearing, and then the situation, the characters and the situation. So in a huge forest surrounded by collective noun for trees, of tall trees and lovely greenery, lived many animals. So in a gigantic forest surrounded by a clump of towering trees and glorious greenery, several, oh, I think the recited is cut off from here, lived several animals. They led a jubilant life. That means they had a happy life. Okay. After that, we move to individual assignments. In the individual assignments, what happens is we learn how to apply an idea on their own by just giving them points. So OMO is where the child has to write on their own. So for example, here there's a persuasive letter where the child is asking his friend or her friend to come for a sleepover at your place, and these are the points given. A long weekend, we can have fun, we can play games or watch a fun animated movie, or any points of your own. Of course, we'll discuss if there are any more relevant points, because boys and girls will not have the same points. And here are two different letters of two different students. Now, the first paragraph is something of a letter that we do in class, so you'll find that it's similar. But in the second paragraph, they have different ways of expressing themselves. She says the coming weekend would be a long weekend which we will be welcoming with open arms, as it will be the time where we all will be as free as birds and we can enjoy our leisure time to our heart's content. I'm inviting you for a sleepover at my place so we can have a whale of a time together. Now he starts in a different way. He says, since it is a long weekend and we are as free as butterflies fluttering in a garden, it would be a great idea to have a splendid sleepover at my place. You will feel like a bee trapped in a box with 10 different types of honey, trying to decide which game to play with first, as I have several games or toys. So both of them had different approaches to write. This approach only forms after a consistent practice of your vocabulary applications. The only assistance I need from the parent when it comes to this is that whatever we write in the book should be read minimum thrice a week. You cannot mug these words. If you land up reading it, eventually it becomes a natural way to talk. Also, they are encouraged to use these words in their daily speech so that it becomes a part of their life. Their omos could be based on videos which I'll send you. Their omos could be based on pictures and points like that, just to see how they are expressing themselves. Within the year, we have two exams. One is before Diwali and one is before, in the month of March. Again, the revision pertaining to these exams is completely done in the class. The only assistance I need is that if they are reading their book daily since day one, it would not be a difficult task for them to work with their creative writing. Opening the book a day prior to the exam is not going to help them to blossom in their language. So that's one consistency I will need from your end, to inculcate the fact that the classwork should be read. Also, it's not that every week you'll be writing a topic, so it's not that you have, to read a lot at one stretch. Tuesdays, you come twice a week. One, the first day